How does the home shield and the rest shield work as far as protecting us from the damage of the geoengineering pollutants?
So many years ago, I was studying a lot of different people's work, Tesla and a bunch of Russian scientists and folks. And I noticed that he created this device he called the personal oscillator, using kind of electromechanical means, coil and a rotor and stuff. He created a scatter field of certain frequencies that was beneficial and healing to living organisms. And so I looked at it and realized that I could do the same thing with digital circuitry. And so I developed a circuit that would create scatter waves and of certain frequencies that were healing and beneficial, and developed this little pocket-sized device called the stress shield that you carry with you, and it puts out a scalar energy field which will structure electromagnetic radiation and make it much, much less damaging. And so that was the beginning of developing that technology, and I discovered it had all kinds of applications. And so I wound up refining it and creating a larger device. It's a stationary device for inside your home called the rest shield, which is a little pyramid that's a powered scalar wave generator. And it puts out about a 20-foot radius field of scalar waves that structures EMF and protects you against EMF, but it also pulses at a frequency that the body and the brain and the cells will entrain with, and it will slow them down and de-stress them and relax them. And when your brainwave states slow down, it de-stresses you. It gets you into deep sleep states at night, but it also actually helps you. It helps your ability to create your reality, believe it or not, because these waves that it puts out act as a carrier wave for your own thought forms. And your own thought forms are a form of scalar energy that can actually coagulate and create matter or alter matter or do other things energetically. And so we're all collectively and individually creating our own reality by emitting this energy that will slow down and coagulate into matter and the electromagnetic spectrum of energy. So we have a big influence on our reality, but of course we're not taught that. So most people just react to life rather than consciously focus on creating it. But with that device, people started meditating and doing things with it and noticing all these synchronicities and things just kind of falling in their lap. And so then when the Fukushima nuclear disaster occurred, I had already worked with Chernobyl victims and helped several Chernobyl victims heal themselves from radioactivity poisoning. And I knew that the radioactivity was coming from Japan. Within a few weeks, it would hit the US West Coast, which it did. And so I looked online to see if anybody had solutions, because back in the 90s, I had worked with technologies that were free energy technologies, water, fuel, and other things that could power things non-toxically. They could also neutralize radioactivity. So I knew it was possible to neutralize radioactivity. So I started looking around to see if anybody had technologies out there to neutralize nuclear fallout from the atmosphere. And it turned out they did, but most of them had been suppressed, or they didn't really understand what they were doing and didn't have a very good solution for it. And so I spent about 1.5 years experimenting and wound up developing this device, which we now call the home shield, which like I say, I developed it for clearing the nuclear fallout out of the atmosphere, which it will do for a 75-mile radius. It's a little device about the size of a 2-gallon bucket. It's not very big. And it just runs on a 12-volt battery. But that thing, to my amazement, it didn't just clear the nuclear fallout out of the sky for a 75-mile radius. It cleared all air pollution out of the atmosphere for a 75-mile radius, including geoengineering pollutants or chemtrails and other air pollution. And it doesn't drop it down on the Earth. It sends it out into space, because it creates this vortex of energy that's kind of like a vacuum cleaner that sucks the pollution out of the atmosphere and sends it out into space. And it doesn't alter the weather. It doesn't damage the atmosphere. All it does is pull the pollution out because of the frequencies that it operates at. But when you clean the pollution out of the atmosphere, that balances the weather, number one, because it balances the ionic charge in the atmosphere. So you get normal weather for your area. So we put them in places like the deserts of Arizona. The deserts green up, droughts go away. We put them in Florida. It stops hurricanes, because nowadays all these hurricanes are engineered, particularly the ones that hit the United States. But because these countries are using weather warfare against each other, they're always engineering storms and weather. And you can, if you know what to look for, you can see this in the patterns of these weather anomalies. So it had all these amazing results. It stopped droughts. Like here in Florida, up until that point when I put my first one out, we were having fires and droughts, and almost had to evacuate one time for a 1,200 acre fire near my house. All that went away when it started putting these devices out, because it just cleans the atmosphere and balances the weather, and you get normal weather for your area. And so it turns out that it also, when I started doing rainwater tests and atmospheric tests, we discovered that it was pulling everything. It was pulling nuclear fallout out of the atmosphere. It was taking all the pollution out. And so that's one of the ways, I've been teaching about what to do about radioactivity and how to keep it out of our bodies. But that's one of the front lines, is just keep it from coming down on you to begin with by using this device. And it has other applications as well. It turns out it improves sleep. It's good for EMF protection. It improves plant growth, because plants can actually feed off of the energy that it puts out. So it accelerates plant growth, de-stresses them. It's good for honeybees. It's good for all kinds of different living organisms and systems. So that's kind of how it got started.
So with the 5G towers going up, and there's really no escaping it, and I know there's one very close to my house, is that protecting me from the 5G tower?
Yes. Yeah, what it does, the scalar fields that these devices put out, they structure electromagnetic waves. And what that means is, normally, if you're sitting around anywhere, even in remote places, it's less so in remote places, but even in remote places now, we have so much EMF from satellites, from 5G, which is satellite-based technology, and ground-based towers. But wherever you're at, you're surrounded by EMF, TV towers, radio towers, military stuff, radar guns at airports. There's lots and lots and lots of EMF that we're getting exposed to, and you can measure it. You can get meters and measure it for wherever you're at. And so these devices create like a bubble. They create this field. Normally that energy is bouncing around, reflecting off of surfaces, and it's coming at you from all different directions, passes through the body, and it interferes with cellular communication. So what my devices do is put this scalar field around you so that you're in this bubble. So when those waves come toward you, when they hit the field, they all become coherent, which means they all become parallel. So when they pass through the body, they're all passing through in one direction. And that radically reduces the interference with cellular communication and tissue heating and those kinds of things, depending on the strength of the EMF. So yeah, they do protect against 5G or any kind of EMF, any kind of electromagnetic radiation, because they're scalar. They're not electromagnetic, so they can structure electromagnetic waves.
Amazing. And if anyone's interested in learning more about the Home Shield or Rest Shield, they are at acceleratedhealthproducts.com, and it will take you to Ken's website to learn more about them. I've got one. I have been immediately started sleeping better when we had it at our house. And of course, I love the fact that I know that it's another layer of protection. Well, we're going to take a short commercial break and come right back and talk more with Ken Rolla.